The sun shines brightly. The crowd roars for Semyong Hai, especially cheering for Choi Tae-oh. Energetic cheers echo throughout the baseball stadium. At the plate, a batter faces the pitcher with intense focus. As the crowd chants for Kyung Seon and Semyong, the players remain focused on the field. The pitcher stands ready on the mound. The batter tightens his grip, preparing for the pitch. The pitcher's foot pushes off the mound. He hurls the baseball forward with all his might. The batter's eyes widen as the ball approaches. With a powerful crack, the bat connects with the ball. The ball soars high into the bright sky. Tae-oh watches his hit fly out of the park. A teammate yells that it's a fair ball and tells him to run. Tae-oh sprints with all his might toward the next base. An opposing player watches the play unfold with grim determination. Tae-oh makes a desperate slide into the base. The umpire signals safe as Tae-oh rises, resolute. The crowd goes wild for Choi Tae-oh, who gives a quick salute. Tae-oh looks up, sweating as someone calls his name. His family celebrates enthusiastically, praising his great performance. A man cups his hands, shouting Choi Tae-oh's name with pride. The man, his father, beams and proudly declares, "That's my son." Touched by the support, Tae-oh breaks into a relieved smile. Later that night, the scene shifts to a quiet apartment building. On television, a player named Ryu Hyungjin hits a go-ahead home run. The announcers praise Ryu Hyungjin's incredible clutch performance as his teammates celebrate. The broadcast highlights the MVP's skill while someone watches from the couch. The viewer is Tae-oh, who sits in silence with a somber expression. His father approaches quietly, calling his name with concern. Later, his father finds Tae-oh, still awake in his bed. As the clock ticks late into the night, Tae-oh calls out to his dad. Tae-oh suddenly announces he has to quit baseball, leaving his father stunned. When asked about his future, Tae-oh suggests he will just study instead. He admits his skills are only average, and he feels too short to become a legendary player. His father tries to reassure him that he's still growing, but Tae-oh remains doubtful. His dad smiles brightly, reminding Tae-oh that he himself grew until he was 20. Tae-oh holds his father's hand, explaining he's just trying to be realistic. A framed family photo sits on a desk, capturing a happy memory. A flashback reveals the photo was taken 7 years ago at a youth tournament. Tae-oh recalls his childhood, which was consumed by relentless baseball training. He feels exhausted, but admits to himself that he doesn't actually want to quit. Sitting dejected, he confesses his feeling of inadequacy compared to better players. His father wisely advises him that he doesn't need to be amazing, just a player the team needs. Overwhelmed by his father's words, Tae-oh breaks down and begins to cry. His father comforts him, asking how he could quit something he truly loves. With a gentle pat, his father pulls him into a hug, promising he's still there to support him. A woman and a young boy appear in the doorway, surprised to find Tae-oh crying, but the boy advises his mother to ignore it. The woman tells the two of them to hurry off to bed as the scene fades. A new day begins as light fills the room. Tae-oh and his father carry boxes, ready for a trip. His father announces their departure as Tae-oh quietly buckles his seatbelt. They arrive at a building under a bright, sunny sky. Tae-oh and his father, Mr. Choi, are greeted warmly by a nun. Several kids cheer and run towards Tae-oh, excited to see him. A freckled boy named Seojin approaches and says hello. Seojin reveals he has a present for Tae-oh, who seems surprised. He gently places a small, handmade item into Tae-oh's open palm. Tae-oh asks if Seojin made it, and the boy proudly confirms he did. It's a red and gold woven bracelet, said to be popular with athletes. Seojin explains that you wear it constantly until it breaks naturally. He says that when it finally breaks, your wish comes true. Smiling warmly, Seojin says he thought of Tae-oh when he read about it. He admits he sees Tae-oh as a brother and wanted to give something back. Seojin suddenly urges a confused Tae-oh to make a wish right now. Closing his eyes, Tae-oh makes a heartfelt wish to play baseball for a long time. He silently prays for his baseball career to be blessed with good luck. A notice from the translation team appears on the screen. The scene transitions to the impressive campus of Kyungseon High School. A team photo illustrates the school's long-standing prestige in baseball. Tae-oh recalls how his strong middle school performance led him to Kyungseon. He stands with his team, wearing his Kyungseon uniform. Now, however, he feels stuck in a frustrating state of limbo. The sun beats down on the high school's baseball practice field. Tae-oh arrives at school for the day, greeting those inside. Entering the locker room, a teammate casually acknowledges his arrival. A third-year player aggressively yells at the others to hurry and change. This is Go Jongpil, the team's self-proclaimed discipline captain. Jongpil is introduced as a monster batter and the high school league's home run leader. Taeo looks over at another player sitting beside him. The player is Park Yi-jun, a promising talent known as the Speedy Slugger. Taeo recalls another frighteningly skilled player as a hand suddenly grabs his face. A teammate playfully scolds Taeo for being late while commenting on his big hands. The teammate is revealed to be a handsome player with wavy brown hair. He is a second-year monster pitcher who can throw 150 kilometers per hour, already eyed by pro teams. Overwhelmed by the talent, Taeo stares ahead with a serious expression. The pitcher taunts Taeo about winning, as Taeo reflects on the harsh reality check these monsters provide. Jongpil storms in, yelling at the second years to get out on the field. A cheerful teammate asks Taeo to play catch, but he bluntly refuses. The ace pitcher bumps into Jongpil and apologizes, but the senior is clearly annoyed. Taeo recognizes the pitcher as Oh Hangjin, the team's number one. Jongpil confronts Hangjin, accusing him of disrespectfully shoulder-checking a senior. Hangjin nonchalantly dismisses it as unintentional, infuriating Jongpil. Jongpil loses his temper, cursing Hangjin for his arrogance and disrespect. Hangjin smirks, challenging Jongpil's assessment and escalating their confrontation. Taeo steps between them, calling out Hangjin's name to intervene. Taeo tells an enraged Jongpil to stay out of it and calm down. He points out that both of them were being disrespectful, leaving Jongpil speechless. Stuttering, Jongpil struggles to regain his composure after being called out. Taeo demands Hangjin apologize properly, and to Jongpil's shock, he immediately complies. He internally reflects that there's a reason these two maniacs actually listen to him. A flashback shows last year's semifinals, where a panicked Go Jongpil made a critical error, losing the ball. Taeo, a fill-in center fielder at the time, made a spectacular diving catch to save the play. He recalls the intense situation, bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, and 1-run lead. A grateful Jongpil had tackled him in a hug, as Taeo remembers saving him from becoming the team's ultimate villain. Ever since that game-saving catch, Go Jongpil has been remarkably good to him. The narrative then turns to the team's other superstar, the insolent Oh Hangjin, who is shown cursing out an opponent. Taeo knows Hangyeon is only gentle with him for a similar reason, as Hangyeon teases him about apologizing to the gorilla. He remembers another incident when both he and Hangyeon were playing shortstop for Gyeongsang High. A teammate gives a thumbs up as Hangjin watches from the field. A ball smacks hard into his glove as someone calls out his name, "Hey, Choi Taeo." It was Hangyeon who approached him with a smile and complimented his good arm. Taeo scoffs, but Hangyeon insists he's serious, pointing out he's the one catching his throws and suggesting Taeo try practicing as a pitcher. Taeo rejects the idea, stating he'd rather not fill in as a pitcher too. Thwack a baseball slams powerfully into a mitt. Hangjin insists he isn't lying, adding that Taeo's arm looks even better today. He then playfully teases Taeo about getting taller, which visibly triggers him. Enraged, Taeo unleashes a blazing fastball that stuns his teammates, who marvel at the 150 kilometers per hour pitch. Taking charge, Taeo calls an end to their game of catch and tells everyone to huddle up. The entire team gathers on the field, listening to their instructions. Their coach addresses them, announcing their first game of the Blue Dragon Flag tournament is tomorrow. He tells the focus players he expects them to perform as well as they've been practicing. Oh Hangjin as pitcher, Park Yi-jun at second, and Go Jongpil in right field. He continues the lineup, calling out Jong Seong-go as the first baseman. Taeo looks up in surprise, thinking, "Me?" as his name is called. The coach confirms it with a smile, telling Taeo he's in the starting lineup. Taeo stands with his back to the team, processing the unexpected news. His teammates immediately congratulate him, surprised but happy to see him starting. A teammate pats him on the shoulder, telling him to show everyone his insane defense. Hangjin teases Taeo about the special occasion of not starting on the bench, leaving Taeo wondering if he's being mocked. Hangjin admits that even with a wet noodle of a bat, Taeo's defense is better than the other scrubs. Taeo warns him to watch his mouth around the seniors, but Hangyeon callously dismisses them, saying they should speak their minds. Taeo is surprised when another teammate speaks up, agreeing with Hangjin for once. Park Yi-jun confesses that watching other shortstops on defense pisses him off so much he wants to kill them, shocking Taeo. He thinks to himself that Yi-jun's genuine murderous intent is what's truly scary about him. Yijun quickly clarifies that he's just expressing his feelings, not making a literal threat. Another teammate points out the obvious flaw in his logic as Teo refocuses on the fact that he's finally starting. As the starting shortstop, he steels his resolve to train hard for the day. Just then, the coach calls his name, getting his attention. The coach unexpectedly tells him to stop training and get plenty of rest, leaving Teo utterly confused. Later, an assistant coach remarks on everyone congratulating Teo despite his dismal .200 batting average. The head coach knowingly explains that batting is Teo's only weakness. He excels at everything else. The assistant remains skeptical about his use in the clutch, but the coach says they have other players to handle that. With a thoughtful look, the coach adds that those other clutch players are just a bunch of troublemakers. He reflects on Teo's unspoken role in managing the team's talented but volatile personalities. The coach concludes that baseball is a team sport, implying Teo is the essential piece holding them together. The next day, the scene shifts to the Mokdong Baseball Stadium for the first day of the qualifiers. Players from Gyeongseon High warm up on the bright green field. While sitting in the dugout, Teo's focus is broken by a familiar voice, yelling, "Son!" From the stands, Teo's dad waves enthusiastically, a huge smile on his face. Teo asks why he came, but his dad insists he couldn't miss his son's first start in ages, a fact Teo quietly acknowledges. His dad's loud cheering for Choi Teo makes him blush with embarrassment. The championship flag of their opponent, Seonhak High School, flutters against a bright blue sky. A flashback shows the Seonhak team celebrating their victory in last year's Blue Dragon Flag tournament. Though some star players have graduated, the narration notes that Seonhak's team is still formidable as they warm up. The Seonhak pitcher stares forward with a calm but intense focus. Teo looks visibly worried by the tough first-round opponent, prompting a teammate to ask if he's scared. Teo clarifies he just thinks the pitcher is strong, but a confident Hangjin scoffs, declaring the opponent a setting sun while he is a rising one. Another player grimaces, worried Hangjin's arrogance will start a fight, while another thinks about his total disregard for seniority. The umpire calls both teams to line up on the field and show respect for one another before the game begins. The two teams face off, bowing to each other as the game is about to commence. Hangjin takes his position alone on the pitcher's mound, ready to start. With a confident smirk, Hangjin adjusts his cap and prepares to unleash his first pitch. Thwack! The catcher snags the pitch as the umpire calls a decisive strike. In a flash of motion, Hangjin throws two more blistering fastballs, striking out the batter. The umpire declares 3 outs, ending the inning as the dejected Seonhak batter walks away. Teo compliments Hangjin, who arrogantly boasts he could pitch with his eyes closed against last year's champs. In response, a Seonhak player silently tips his cap, a shadow of determination falling over his face. The Seonhak pitcher retaliates with a powerful pitch of his own, earning a strike. He follows up with a fierce strikeout, and the Gyeongseon catcher celebrates with a triumphant fist pump. Go Jongpil furiously yells at his teammates for their weak batting, while Hangjin calmly reminds him he warned them not to underestimate the opponent. The scoreboard shows a tense 0-0 deadlock, highlighting the fierce pitchers' duel. At the bottom of the 7th inning, Park Yijun steps up to the plate for Gyeongseon High. The Seonhak pitcher winds up, preparing to deliver another powerful throw. With a mighty swing, Yijun makes solid contact with the ball. The dugout explodes with shouts as Yijun sprints down the base path. He slides headfirst into the base, and the umpire signals that he's safe. Gyeongseon's dugout erupts with cheers, urging the team to score a run. The Seonhak pitcher looks stressed, wiping sweat from his brow under pressure. Batter number 7 for Gyeongseon is called out, looking frustrated. Next, batter number 8 hits a foul ball, keeping the inning alive. As he waits on deck, Teo assumes they'll use a pinch hitter for him in this critical moment. Startled, Teo looks up as his name is suddenly called out. The coach yells from the dugout, ordering him to get into the batter's box immediately. Confused but obedient, Teo quickly grabs his helmet and agrees. Adjusting his helmet, Teo is in disbelief that he's being sent in to bat at such a crucial time. A notice from the translation team appears on the screen. Still in shock, Teo processes the fact that the team is truly counting on him now. He steps up to the plate, taking his batting stance with a determined look. Overjoyed, his dad clenches his fists in the stands, thrilled that his son is getting a chance to hit. The coaches watch from the dugout with serious expressions. The assistant coach voices his concern, but the head coach explains that they need Teo's stable defense more than anything, making a substitution too risky. The Sanhok pitcher delivers his first throw to Teo, which is called a ball. His teammates loudly cheer him on, yelling for him to get an RBI. While the team watches, Yijun mutters a dark threat if Teo fails, as Teo tries to calm his nerves before the first strike is called. Teo swings repeatedly, fouling off pitch after pitch in a tense battle. Jong Pil frantically yells advice from the dugout, while another teammate hopes for a big hit. Yelling over the chaos, Jong Pil shouts corrections about Teo's stance and center of gravity. As Hanjin watches silently, Jong Pil passionately urges Teo to swing aggressively instead of playing defensively. In the dugout, Jong Pil and a teammate argue loudly about giving advice, while Hangyeon dismisses them as noisy pigs. At the plate, Teo focuses, remembering their advice on batting basics and telling himself to stay calm. Choi Teo, number 14, takes his stance, ready to swing. The pitcher throws and Teo swings, but his grimace reveals he mishit the ball. The ball soars high into the outfield as Teo watches its trajectory. Urged on by his shouting teammates, Teo bolts from the batter's box and sprints down the first base line. Yijun slides headfirst across home plate, and the narration declares he's safe, scoring a run. As Yijun scores, Teo rounds first base and pushes hard for second. Teo's cleat digs in as he makes the turn at first base. Two teammates in the dugout watch in shock, thinking his attempt to take second base is too greedy. Convinced he can make it, Teo reflects on his confidence in all his baseball skills, everything except hitting. With hitting as his one weakness, he dives desperately toward second base. He reaches for the base, just as the infielder catches the ball for a tag. The umpire signals safe, and the dugout erupts in cheers for Choi Teo, who smiles from the ground, victorious. From the dugout, a teammate joyfully shouts that Choi Teo is the best. Teo looks over from the field with a subtle, proud smile, taking in the moment. The narration explains that the next batter struck out, ending the 7th inning with Kyung Se-eun's single run. Back in the dugout, his teammates excitedly congratulate Teo on his incredible RBI and base running. Go Jong Pil tells him that's what happens when he swings with confidence, catching a surprised Teo's attention. Jong Pil reassures Teo, saying he knows his true potential and advises him to relax to play better. Teo is stunned by Jong Pil's earnest encouragement, only to be snapped out of it when Hangin jumps on his back. Hangjan proposes a bet. If Teo's hit wins the game, he'll call him Hyung, then adds he's being pulled and trusts Teo with the defense. Hanjin continues to pester him, asking why he's stuck on the bet when he should be focused on defense. Taking off his helmet, Teo confidently tells Hangin to keep his promise. Teo takes his position on the field with his team, determined to win. The game progresses through the 8th and 9th innings, with Teo making several successful defensive plays. The team celebrates as the narration announces Kyongston High's victory in the first round. His teammates surround Teo, crediting his game-winning hit for their victory. Jong Pil calls out to Hangyeon, pointedly reminding him that his Hyung is calling him. Kyung Se-eun's coach is praised for the win, while he internally notes that Teo knows how to handle Hangin. A close-up reveals the opposing team's coach, Ha Myung-won of Seonhak High. The two coaches shake hands, with Seonhak's coach complimenting Kyungsun's strength, while Kyungsun's coach jokes about their early exit. Coach Ha grumbles about having a bad draw, and Coach Song playfully agrees. Changing the subject, Coach Ha asks about their number 9 player Teo, catching Coach Song by surprise. When Coach Song asks if he knows Teo, Coach Ha confirms, calling him a great all-rounder. Coach Ha praises Teo's solid defense and all-around skills, noting that his batting seems to be improving too. He tells Coach Song he must feel secure with both Hangyeon and Teo, though Song humbly disagrees. Coach Ha muses that a player who is once good can always be good again, implying Teo has great potential. He reveals he's been watching Teo since middle school and is frustrated he's only used as a fill-in player. Realizing he's been rambling, Coach Ha apologizes, but Coach Song brushes it off. The two coaches part ways with a friendly goodbye. Left alone, Coach Song thoughtfully strokes his chin, pondering the conversation. As the sun sets, the scene shifts to the stadium's exterior after the game. Outside, Teo is happily surprised to see his father waiting for him. His entire family, dad, mom, and sister, gathers around to praise his performance, much to his surprise. His sister and mom smile, explaining they arrived late but saw his big play. Teo's sister spots Hanjin nearby and greets him. Hanjin smiles, noting Teo's whole family is there, and greets his sister formally as Sumin Nuna, leaving her flustered. Annoyed, Teo asks his sister why she's using formal speech, and she explains she's just awkward after not seeing Hangjin for so long. Hangjin cheerfully tells Teo's sister to speak comfortably, but an annoyed Teo urges him to leave so they can go home. Teo's mom surprises him by inviting Hangjin to join them for dinner. Teo protests that Hangjin eats too much, but Hangjin just laughs and playfully covers Teo's mouth, asking if his mom is sure. Hangjin announces to the family that, due to their bet, he must now call Teo Hyung, leaving them all confused. The scene transitions to the glowing sign of a restaurant as evening falls. Gathered around a large table, Teo's dad asks him what he'd like to order for dinner. Teo orders a large bowl of jjajang, while his sister decides on jampong. Hangjin grandly announces his order for a premium, chef's special multi-ingredient seafood jjampong. In a comedic fantasy, Teo's masked father grabs Hangin in a headlock, telling him to eat at his own house, forcing Hangin to change his order to a large jjampong. Steaming plates of noodles and dumplings arrive at the table. Teo's father asks Hangjin for his opinion on Teo's baseball skills, making Teo nervous as Hangjin pauses to think. Hangjin confidently declares that Teo is the second best player on their team, right after him, shocking and impressing the entire family. Teo's father laughs off the high praise before casually revealing that his talented son wants to quit baseball. The news hits like a bombshell, leaving both Teo and Hangjin utterly stunned. Hangjin erupts, yelling at Teo for being crazy, while Teo desperately tries to quiet him in front of his family. Teo quietly admits that the thought of quitting came up while he was considering his future. Hanyeon dismisses the idea, questioning what future he could have when baseball is all he knows, as Teo silently eats his noodles. As Hangjin grumbles, Teo's father muses that Hangjin must really like his son, while Teo internally wishes he could play with Hangjin's natural talent. Teo reflects on his recent performance, acknowledging he got on base with walks and stolen bases but had no dramatic hits. He concludes that while his hitting still needs work, his solid defense was the true key to the team's victory. The scene shifts to a bright, sunny day at the school's baseball field. Teo arrives for practice early, greeting his coach, who seems pleased to see him. Explaining he's here for batting practice, Teo receives an encouraging pat on the shoulder from the coach. A pitching machine whirs, ready to begin the practice session. Teo takes his stance in the batter's box, preparing to swing. He swings with intense concentration. The ball flies off the bat as the coach watches silently with his arms crossed. After the swing, the coach calls Teo over for a word. The coach points out that Teo's center of gravity is unstable and asks to see his bat. Demonstrating a powerful swing, the coach advises Teo to keep his core firm and avoid overthinking, as it makes his form shaky. Handing the bat back, the coach tells him to practice his swing, and Teo gratefully accepts. With a confident smile, the coach tells Teo he's looking forward to his performance in the next game. Teo is struck by the coach's words, realizing with a jolt that he might be starting again. Elsewhere on the field, two other teammates practice throwing in silence. One of the players, a boy with light-colored hair, remarks how unusual it is for the coach to give direct instruction. His teammate, a boy with dark hair, glares at him, resentfully asking why he's taking care of Choi Taeo lately. The light-haired player scowls, complaining that Teo is supposed to be a fill-in, but is now taking positions from the seniors. Addressing his teammate as Sung-ho, the light-haired player suggests they should mess with Teo a little. He insists they need to rattle Teo's confidence, fearing they won't get a chance to play if he keeps performing well. Seung-ho hesitates, saying he doesn't want to target Teo, but his teammate calls him frustrating. The player, Yoon-hook, tells Sung-ho to stay put and walks off to handle things himself, ignoring Sung-ho's protests. A title card sets the scene, one day before the Blue Dragon tournament semifinals. Inside the locker room, several players are busy getting changed. Hangjin casually approaches Teo, calling him by a playful nickname, Choi Tang. Sitting beside him, Hangjin asks a nervous-looking Teo if he's getting anxious for the game. Hangjin bluntly teases him for getting tense like a dog needing to pee, prompting Teo to complain, but Hangjin retorts that Teo curses too. On a more serious note, Hangjin tells him not to be nervous, reassuring him that his presence at shortstop gives the team stability. Teo reflects on Hangjin's words, believing that everyone on the team likely feels the same and that he can make it to the semifinals. Looking out at the sunlit stadium, Teo feels his heart race with excitement at the thought of starting in the semifinals. However, back in the locker room, his anxiety returns as he realizes he's getting ahead of himself, prompting Hangon to call him a scaredy cat. Hangjun abruptly leaves to pee, making Teo regret his question. As Teo organizes his locker, Eunhyuk approaches him from behind. Looking up, Teo is startled when Eunhyuk condescendingly asks if he's happy. Confused, Teo listens as Eunhyuk steps closer, accusing him of being too friendly with the ace. Grabbing his shirt, Eunhyuk furiously pins Teo against the lockers, demanding to know if he enjoys taking the senior spots.